Today we're going to go over the Fanvil V64 and X303 Anyphone BYOP configuration. We got the screen loaded up here. We can see their login screen, but before we go ahead and get started on the phone, we're going to cover really quickly how to get those credentials that we need in Host Pilot or Partner Pilot from the Univerge Blue Connect portal. Since all the portals look relatively the same, we're just going to be using the partner portal for this particular demonstration. We're going to come in here, go over to Elevate. And we're just going to focus on creating the devices. And click on Add Devices, and we're going to go set up your own device. And since we want it to be an Anyphone BYOP, we're going to ensure that we select Other in this section. We're going to give it a brand name. It has to be, both brand and model have to be a minimum of 5 characters or the system won't accept it. And we want to refrain from using the exact name of a device that is already up in the brand section. So we will create something along the lines of or, and since our model is going to be less than 5 characters, we want to create a model name that is more than 5 characters. We're not going to assign it to a user at this moment. We just want to set up the device so we can get the credentials. Now that we have set it up, we want to look for it. So we're just going to type in V64 into the search. We should find it. And there we are. That's the one that we just created. We're going to click on the name. And since we don't have it assigned to a user yet, it's not going to give us a Get Credentials link. So we'll go ahead and assign it to a user. And we're just going to assign it to that same V64 user that we saw a moment ago. So let's type in V64. And we should have something pop up. There we go. Make sure that everything is correct here. We want to make sure that our 911 information is correct, because if this user were ever to sign into the Elevate, the Unite, or the Univerge Connect application, it's going to require that the 911 information be correct. Go ahead and click Assign User. Now we have the Get Credentials link here. It changed from gray to blue, so we're going to go ahead and click on that. And there's the credentials that we would use for getting this phone to register. Then we'll go ahead and log into the phone. Our default login information is admin. And then the goal of setting up an Anyphone BYOP is to try to mimic it as close as we can get to a provisioned phone of a similar model. Now, we do currently support the Fanvil V64s, so this is a rather simple task. First thing we want to do is we want to come into our Network tab. We want to make sure that this is set to IPv4 only, and then click Apply. And we go over to our Lines tab, and this is where we start entering the SIP information. The username that we just captured from the previous screen, we're going to go ahead and put that in. And that's also our authentication username. Display name can be anything that the customer would like it to be. This is an arbitrary field. Put in our SIP password. We do not have to worry about realm or server name. Our server address, we captured that from the credentials as well. We're going to leave our server port at 5060, transport at UDP. We're going to change our registration expiration time We want to set that to 60. It can be either 60 or 180, but for the purposes of this, we're going to set it to 60. We're going to put in our server address again. And then before moving on to the next section, we want to activate this and then click apply. And if we've done it right, we see the phone is now registered. Now we could stop there. The phone has basic functionality, but we're going to go ahead and attempt to mimic that of a provisioned v64. So there's a few more settings that we're going to go ahead and change. Come into our basic settings, and we want to make sure that enable missed call log is checked. We want to uncheck use VPN. Go ahead and click apply. Then we're going to move to our codec settings. And the 4 codecs that we want to leave on the right-hand side here are 711U, 711A, 729AB. We're going to remove this one, remove Opus, and leave 722. Now, we currently do support Opus, but for the sake of using this for Anyphone BYOP, we're going to leave Opus off because there are some issues that certain phones have with Opus. And Opus also does present issues with inbound and outbound calling in regards to lack of one-way audio or no audio, or even phone resets in some cases. This is due to a mismatch in the variants of Opus that get used from time to time, depending on what the phone negotiates. So for the sake of removing headaches from ourselves, we're going to go ahead and leave Opus off. Go ahead and click apply. We're going to come down to advanced settings. We're going to go ahead and enable PRAC. We're going to go ahead and enable use 182 for call waiting. We're going to uncheck this because it's a BYOP. We're going to leave those 4 checked. Our SIP timers, our SIP transaction timers here are correct. So we're going to go ahead and click apply here. And we're going to check our SIP global settings. And we want to uncheck RFC 4475. RFC 4475 has to deal with some testing parameters in the SIP header. We don't need those enabled. Go ahead and click apply. And again, we could leave the phone at this state, but as you can see, lower right corner of your screen, we're showing the display, we're showing the SIP username on the line and up at the top left of the screen. We want to go ahead and change that. So for the upper left corner of the screen, we're going to go ahead and set a display name. As you can see in the upper right corner of the phone display there, it changed to v64 test. If you take a look at the lower right corner of your screen, and then in the upper left corner of the camera view, we can see that the display name changed to v64 test. Now, in order to change what we're showing on the line so that we're not seeing v64 test on the line as well, we're going to go over to our function key area. And this is where we actually set up how the line keys operate. For this instance, we're going to enter the phone's extension number. In this case, the extension for this one is extension 131. And we go ahead and click apply. And now as you can see on your camera view, our extension changed to 131 next to the phone line. And again, we are technically done here, but you're going to encounter customers who want BLF line keys, speed dial keys. So we're going to go ahead and create one of each. So for the BLF key, we're going to change it to memory key. We're going to set an extension. The value will also be 101. Subtype, BLF new call. You could select BLF blind transfer, BLF attended transfer, BLF conference. Any one of those would be acceptable. For this case, we're just going to select BLF new call. We're going to select our registered SIP line and our pickup number. In order to complete that, we're going to enter a pickup code and then the extension. So the pickup code for Unite, Elevate, and Univerge Connect is *95, followed by the extension number. And then for a speed dial key, we're selecting memory key again. We're going to just use 101 again. And for a speed dial key, we're going to put in extension 105, enter 105 again. Subtype is now speed dial. Select our registered SIP line and click apply. And as you can see on your camera capture there in the lower right corner of your screen, those first 3 line keys are now showing the changes that we just made. This concludes the Fanvil V64 Anyphone BYOP instructional.